Brent Welder is running for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District in Kansas. Now, before I even really get into this video, I have to say, if you are in that district, go out right now and vote for Brent Welder. Now, if you're not yet convinced, let me play this clip where he was on CNN with Chris Cuomo, and it really shows you how strong not only Brent Welder's message is, but the message of all progressives running in these primaries. Watch.
I had Rosie O'Donnell on earlier. You know, tonight she's got people who are Broadway performers down in front of the White House. And I don't know if you had a chance. I know you're campaigning. But the conversation for her is Trump's got to go. He's a bad guy. He does bad things. The Democrats have to win. My point back is anti-is not enough. When you look at big turns, whoever wins in midterms does it because they are offering something for, not just against. And when I was looking at your site and looking at some of the messages, where do you think the Democrats come out on that? How do you make the point that you're better for the economy with all those robust index numbers that we've seen, that you're better for national security when we're in a relatively safe state? How do you make a better case?
Well, you know, I was one of the first staffers on Barack Obama's campaign. I was the national field director for the Teamsters. I've been around, you know, organizing for a long time. And what I've seen, unfortunately, for so many years now is that the Democrats keep losing and losing and losing. We've lost the White House, we've lost the House, the Senate, state legislators, the governorship, and we've been doing it, generally speaking, the same way, trying to run candidates that are running on a corporatist message, on a center-right message, and it hasn't worked. I'm a labor lawyer. I've spent the last decade in labor halls, Teamster labor halls around the country. And what I find is that, you know, these people that voted for Barack Obama and then Donald Trump will come back to the Democratic Party, but you have to tell them exactly what you're going to do for them. You have to talk to them about these bold, populist, progressive economic ideas, and that's how we're going to win them back. And I think that's why I'm beating Congressman Yoder by 7 points right now, the largest lead in the country, even though I'm right here in Kansas, because you know, these economic ideas are really resonating so well with people in my district.
The 3rd district includes Kansas City. Am I right? I'm right about that, right? All right. So
yep, that's where I live, in fact. So I hope it does.
So that's helping you. That's helping you in terms of a message that will go to a more diverse and base and a bigger population. Because when you say about winning Trump voters back, a lot of them are voting for him on cultural dynamics. They're not the blue-collar pocketbooks economics that I grew up with a father who was in the Democratic Party as a governor, and he talked to that a lot. That's not the dialogue anymore, and it seems to be that you have 2 layers of conflict and challenge to deal with. That one, that they're talking culture, not just commerce, and 2, that the left has a divide, which is guys like you, and the criticism will be, Mr. Welder, you're free everything. You're free everything for everybody, free, 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 can't have enough tax money injected into people's lives, versus a more centrist approach. How do you deal with both of those burdens?
Well, you know, and one thing that you didn't mention that I think is actually extremely important to these working class folks that we need to win back is finally ending the corrupting influence of big money in politics. That's something that I've been working for myself throughout my life. I actually, when I started running 14 months ago, pledged that I was never going to accept 1 penny of corporate PAC money. I've been involved in politics long enough to see how that affects things and how it causes these politicians like my opponent Kevin Yoder, who has taken more money from the payday loan sharks than any member of the House or the U.S. Senate to side with giant banks and giant corporations instead of people. And that is the thing that I think is resonating most with people, is they're ready to send someone to Congress who is not corrupted and who rejects this kind of corporate spend.
God, I hope he wins. This is the kind of guy that you don't normally see interviewed on CNN. Here is a normal person, somebody that is actually standing up for real people and is talking about, I think, the most important aspect, the money in politics, and discussing how this has infected the political system and fighting back against that and not taking corporate PAC money as a way to differentiate yourself from those that are corrupted. So this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Her win against Joe Crowley was really massive, and has now given voice to candidates like Brent Welder, who, I mean, even before her win, he was doing well, but now a lot more people know who he is because of the support from Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. So this sort of unified approach where progressives all across the country are unifying on this progressive message of no corporate PAC money, and issues like Medicare for all, this is going to be the real defining message of this movement. And it's what makes these candidates stand out, because they have specifics on not only policy, but their approach to politics, which is being uncorrupted by money. So his performance here, I guess you could say, or his appearance here on CNN was just fantastic. Now, I also want to address one thing that Chris Cuomo brought up there, which was cultural voters. So this actually, I think, is a good point. There are a lot of Trump voters, and I would say many of his current supporters, if not all of his current supporters, are the ones that are voting or supporting him because of the cultural issues. In other words, racism. Let's just be honest, why people are still supporting Donald Trump. Now, there were a lot of voters in 2016 that I think voted for Trump with honest intentions, voted for him because Trump spoke to a lot of the problems in America, even though Trump wasn't serious about the solutions. But I think a lot of those people now have fallen off and are open to a message that Brent Welder is delivering, because he's saying a lot of the things that Trump said, like universal health care, even though Trump, the idea that anybody believed him on that is a little ridiculous, but people fell for it because, you know, someone like me who is engaged in the political discussion every day, I can read the bullshit. I can understand when someone is being dishonest. You can look at their history. You can look into who Trump was before he ran for president. I understand this guy is not an honest actor. But most people have lives, busy lives, and they can't follow the day-to-day of politics. But now that Trump has been president for over a year and a half, you can now see who he is and see that he has been, or he is dishonest on a lot of what he was saying. So the message that Brent Welder brings, and I think the most effective, as I said, part of that message is getting money out of politics and him not being corrupted by that money. So while there are still, I believe, cultural voters, cultural supporters of Trump, and I don't think you can really get them, you can get the people who were swung by Trump because of his populist message, and also get non-voters. I think that's what really gets lost in this entire message, is non-voters are going to be a big part of progressives winning across the country. Now, let me just quickly go over Brent Welder's policy prescriptions, because unlike many candidates that run for Congress, Brent Welder and these progressives actually have detailed platforms. So before, a lot of Democrats ran as, oh, I'm for equality, I'm for gay rights, I'm for helping people get up when they're down, and just very vague, nondescript policy prescriptions. But progressives like Brent Welder are very specific in what they plan to deliver. So I want to read some of this off, and it's a lot, but I'm going to read the headlines because I can't possibly read all the details to what Brent Welder delivers on his website. But if you want more detail, go to his website and read through exactly what he plans to deliver. So let me just go over some of these. Fighting for us, not billionaires or giant corporations. Fighting for a $15 minimum wage. Fighting for middle-class workers and labor. Fighting for Medicare for all. Fighting for women's equality. Fighting for racial justice. Fighting for immigration reform. Fighting for LGBTQ equality. Fighting for debt-free college. Fighting for pre-K education for every child. Fighting to protect our environment. Fighting for veterans benefits. Fighting for common sense gun reform. So this is the kind of thing that really sets these candidates apart from the typical candidates that ran for Congress before as Democrats. They actually have specifics on their website about what they plan to deliver. They are honest about it. And I think most importantly, they are not influenced by big money. They are not influenced by corporations. They are simply influenced by what the masses actually want. They build their campaigns on small individual donations, so you know that you can actually trust them once they're in. So just as I started this video, if you are in Kansas 3rd District, go out and vote for Brent Welder. And also, as an aside, James Thompson, who's in Kansas 4th District, he also has a very similar platform, very similar approach, no corporate money. So even though I don't have a video for him, if you are in either of these districts, Kansas 4th, James Thompson. Kansas third, Brent Welder. Go out and vote.